I know what you're thinking. You take one look at me and you think, Scott's 100% a born and raised city dweller. He's the spitting image of modern urban living, public transportation taking, chic, stylish, smooth, sophisticated, great fashion sense, perfect hair, fun at parties. Now I'm totally kidding here, but all jokes aside, I actually grew up in the suburbs outside Portland, Oregon in the USA. So where I grew up was actually not too far from mountains and forests, and sometimes I do miss the great outdoors. So in today's video, I want to showcase a few parts of Tokyo near open green spaces, parks, and the apartments you can find around them. Now, nothing in the 23 wards of Tokyo checks my boxes for a true hiking trail or outdoor escape, but you learn to make do with what you have in the city. But I will point you in the direction of an area technically within Tokyo where you can find these great outdoor escapes. Let's get started. First up is an apartment near the well-known Yoyogi Park in Shibuya Ward. This is an expansive park close to a major station, Shibuya Station, and downtown area, so it's more of an urban city park than a forested natural reserve or anything like that. But it is still a great place that a lot of people use for jogging, picnics, and other sports or outdoor activities. Sometimes I've seen slackline groups here, people practicing football drills, and it's quite popular for dance group practices too. Next to Yoyogi Park is Meiji Jingu Shrine, which is a peaceful, tranquil location right in the city. I like this one LDK apartment because it looks like there are no shared walls with neighbors, at least in the bedroom and living room, and it's on the top floor of the building. I'm going to be a little brief on these apartment overviews in this video, so click below to get to the listing for more details if interested. I apologize in advance if the listings have gone offline by the time you watch this video. Next up, I actually used to think Yoyogi Park was the largest park in the 23 wards of Tokyo, but it turns out it's just one of the most popular ones because it's so close and convenient. The crown of largest park in the 23 wards of Tokyo actually goes to Mizumoto Park in Katsushika Ward. But since it's a bit of a trek from downtown areas, it's less frequented except by those in the neighborhood. It's like a calmer, open, spacey, Yoyogi Park. But maybe I just wasn't visiting it on a busy day. The Oba River runs adjacent to it and is a natural border between Tokyo and neighboring Saitama Prefecture. I wonder if on a summer day it's possible to inner tube on this bad boy, but that's a question or video for another time. There's a wild bird observation spot, tons of open space, and a goldfish aquarium showroom thing. I'm a fan, but I am also a fan of a lot of things about Shitamachi, Tokyo, which is the old school traditional side of Tokyo. This is a 1K apartment for rent just walking distance from this huge park. Basically, this open space becomes your backyard. Now it is a bit far from the station at 17 minutes to Kanamachi Station on the Joban line, but maybe if you're doing remote work this won't be a huge deal. Remember to check the link in the description for details. Moving on to apartment number 3. To strike a balance between open green space and kind of downtown convenience, this is an example that I want to share with you. First, let me paint the picture of where it's located near Kiba Park in Koto Ward. So, when I talk about Tokyo being vastly different depending on where you are located inside of it, Koto Ward is also similar. It's vastly different depending on where you are inside of Koto Ward. It's basically Tokyoception. There's the Tokyo Bay area with Odaiba, Tokyo Big Sight, the beach, and life-size Gundam. Then there's the Shitamachi Old City vibe around Tsunamachi and the Tsunamachi Ginza shopping street. And there's this in-between around Monzen Nakacho and Kiba. It's not exactly on the waterfront, but it's close enough to the bay where there's a lot of rivers and waterways shooting off from major rivers that flow through this area. Kiba Park is one of these many parks in the area that kind of exists along these waterways. For most of these offshoot rivers in the area, there are pedestrian, sometimes they're mixed traffic, but roads along the river sides, which I think are really nice for just getting out of the house and going for a walk. But I want to talk about Kiba Park, where you'll find the Museum of Contemporary Art Tokyo, a dog run, barbecue space with rentable equipment, and all of this is kind of on the eastern side of Tokyo. So if you work closer to Tokyo Station or the business districts around that area, this will be a little bit more convenient than living close to, say, Yoyogi Park. But if you really like Yoyogi Park, I'm not going to stop you from finding an apartment there. This is a 9th floor apartment just 1 minute away from Kiba Station. Since it is north facing, you might actually have a view of the park, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. At any rate though, it's a super quick walk to the park and to the nearby station to get into downtown Tokyo. It takes just 8 minutes to get to Otemachi Station from Kiba Station on the Tozai subway line. Okay, so you're thinking, these are all fine and great, Scott, but I want real nature. I want to wake up and feel the sun on my face and go for a hike in the mountains on a moment's notice. I want to be away from downtown crowds, but at the same time, maybe I kind of do need to be close to Tokyo for meetings or other work-related shenanigans. Well, imaginary conversation partner in my head, have I got the place for you? Welcome to Okutama, out in West Tokyo. Now, I'm from the west coast of the United States, so I'm not super familiar with East Coast geography and whatnot, but I imagine this is kind of like upstate New York and New York City, New York. Technically, Okutama is in Tokyo, but it's a far cry from what most people think of when they hear Tokyo. Here you'll find hiking trails, hot springs, crystal clear rivers, and it's all just a quick 2-hour train ride into Shinjuku. Okay, that's not really a feasible daily commute, but I love bringing up the fact that even in Tokyo, you can find these very open natural sites. The apartment that I've chosen in this area is actually closer to Ome Station, about 40 minutes away from Okutama, but this area shares many of the same features that I just mentioned. And actually, it's that much closer to Shinjuku, so it really only takes about 1 hour station to station. Not too shabby, all things considered. Also, it actually physically pains me to mention this as a resident of the 23 wards of Tokyo, but this 1 LDK apartment is a fair chunk cheaper than my 1R studio apartment in the city. Looking at all the space at this price really makes me wonder if a move is in my future. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to check out these apartments and the cool parts of Tokyo that you can find them in. Click on the links in the description below to get more info, and fill out the inquiry forms if you're looking to rent an apartment or get additional info or help from the real estate agent. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.